let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals draft and grade their draft overall for 2025. What's up, everyone? It is Josh here from No Buts About It, and I want to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals draft. We're planning on doing all of the teams. It's been a slow and steady process. Hopefully, pick it up a little bit next week. Last week was just crazy, but now it's time for the Bengals. So, their first overall pick was defensive end Shemar Stewart out of Texas A&M. He was taken 17th overall with a grade that I'm giving him of a C plus. This was the most obvious Bengals pick. He just really fits that mold that Duke Tobin has followed the last couple of years of high potential but little experience. And if you really think about it, even Amarius Mims, who was drafted last year in the first round, it worked out, but he was a guy who didn't have a lot of snaps. That was concerning. His experience wasn't there, but luckily so far it's looked like it's going to work out. Um, Tons of mocks had the Bengals taking Stewart. A lot of people didn't want them to. He is an athletic freak. His athletic potential is off the charts. However, he only had 4.5 sacks in 3 seasons. However, he was credited with 33 pressures in 2024. So if he can kind of finish that out and get those sacks, he could be a big ad. But right now, he doesn't have that production. He's gotten very high praise from Luke Kuechly and Micah Parsons, which maybe doesn't mean a whole lot, but those are two very good pass rushers, and to have them kind of saying, "Hey, Shamar Stewart's going to be a guy," that's a comforting for me at least. I do think some fans are unfairly comparing him to Miles Murphy. They remember that pick in the first round, and that was another high potential, low production pick. Shamar Stewart is a bigger athletic specimen than what Miles Murphy is. And Miles Murphy also saw limited playing time because Lou Anarumo just refused to play him over Sam Hubbard, even when it became kind of obvious that Sam had taken a step back. Uh, Ultimately, this is going to come down to Al Golden and Jerry Montgomery, the Bengals defensive coordinator and defensive line coach, respectfully, getting the most that they can out of Shamar Stewart and Miles Murphy. Um, the potential's there, but on game day, production is what matters. So right now, I'm giving this a C plus. There were other players that I would have liked to see the Bengals take there. James Pierce ended up going to the Falcons. Malachi Starks went to the Ravens. That one hurt. And then even Jahad Campbell, who even though he was injured, he was a proven edge rusher, and he's going to work out really well for the Eagles, I think. So Bengals have bet on upside here, but that hasn't always worked out. So again, that's why I'm giving Shamar Stewart a C plus. Obviously, still rooting for him though. I hope he has a great rookie season. Moving on to the Bengals' second round pick, Demetrius Knight Jr. Demetrius Knight was someone who I actually really liked. He was in quite a few of my mock drafts that we did, and I gave that pick an A minus. So people don't like this pick, and from what I've gathered, the only reason is because of his age. Demetrius is older; he's going to turn 25 during his rookie season, and there were other prospects like Tyler Shuck who I knocked for their age. But Demetrius is very refined as a player. He's not someone who I think we're going to have to wait a year or two to be able to start. Um, he's his tape looks really good. The one thing that does concern me, and this is something that I understand if Bengals fans are concerned about because it's something we had to live with for so long, is he does overly aggressive tackle at times, and he needs to clean that up because missed tackles just need to be unacceptable. If Al Golden opts for his zone coverage scheme, which he really liked to do at Notre Dame when he was their defensive coordinator, I could see that helping a lot of the younger players on this defense, including Demetrius Knight Jr. This shouldn't have been a surprise pick, though. He is the type of linebacker that the Bengals go after. His NFL comparison was Jermaine Pratt, who might be leaving the Bengals now. So he's someone who you can just immediately kind of plug in there. This pick just makes sense. I really like it. I think that he can be a day one starter if we need him to be. And if your concern is will he sign a second contract? The Bengals have kind of shown time and time again that they don't really sign defensive players to second contracts. Very rarely does that happen. So that's not really something that I'm necessarily concerned about at this time. Obviously, there are exceptions to that with like Logan Wilson, Trey Hendrickson's gotten an extension before. Sam Hubbard got an extension, but for the most part, the Bengals pay their offense and then draft defense. Next up, Dylan Fairchild out of Georgia. Not the offensive lineman from Georgia a lot of Bengals fans were hoping for, but he is the one they got nonetheless. And I actually like this pick. Gave it a B plus round 3 and think he could wind up being a starter for this team. So a lot of Bengals fans were hoping that Demetrius Knight Jr. pick would be a Tate Ratledge pick. He ended up going to the Detroit Lions. However, with a shallow linebacker class, and again, you're potentially losing Jermaine Pratt. The linebackers kind of struggled last season. They needed to add some depth and they needed to add it early. So I understand why they went linebacker over guard in the second round. And I think Dylan Fairchild is actually a very good pickup in round 3, obviously, given the pick. He just overall, he is very versatile. He's another Georgia product like Tate, but more importantly, he's like Amarius Mims. He can line up next to Amarius Mims. They've had a rapport before. They have chemistry. They were friends when they played together at Georgia. If Fairchild ends up winning that right guard role, they've already got that chemistry. They've already got that benefit in the future over other rookies or other people that they might have brought in um, to play right guard next to Amarius Mims. He isn't the most refined pick, but he is welcome competition. And that's something that this guard position has needed for so long. They have just handed Alex Kappa and Cordell Volson the starting roles for so long. And now Alex Kappa is no longer on the team, and Cordell Volson is being challenged. They brought in Lucas Patrick. They re signed Cody Ford, and we've got versatility. Dylan Fairchild allowed just 1 sack in the last 2 seasons in 800 pass protection snaps. And if he can protect Joe Burrow as a starter, hey, it's a good pick. Worst case scenario, he adds great depth to the line, which is also needed. Pick number 4. I think this was probably the consensus fan favorite pick, Barrett Carter. And, when you watch his tape, it makes sense. He has a ton of fun tape. I I don't mind the pick. Round 4, you're kind of getting into guys who aren't going to be like immediate starters. Maybe you get lucky. And Carter fell because he's a bit undersized. He isn't great in coverage either, but he can be. And he thrives as a pass rusher, which the Bengals needed. And he actually had 8 sacks in 3 seasons, which is more than our first round pick defensive end had in 3 seasons. So that's something. Um, so not a great look for Shemar Stewart, but it's a great look for Barrett Carter. This linebacker room is getting increasingly versatile as well. That Demetrius Knight pick I mentioned. Both Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight remind me a lot of Jermaine Pratt. So they're adding to that. Obviously, I like Muma Jongmeta. I don't know that he'll ever be starter caliber, but I like Muma. We have Logan Wilson. Very good linebacker room that the Bengals have put together. Carter needs to work on his angles with which he tackles, though. This has been a concern for the Bengals linebackers for a long time. Really, Logan Wilson has been the only consistent tackler. He has that leg up on Demetrius Knight in age, and I think that we could just have Barrett Carter, honestly, as an outside linebacker who just pass rushes, as basically an edge rusher, eventually. Or really where he's going to probably be strongest due to his size is run stopping outside linebacker. Put him in that situation. If it's a definite run situation like 3rd and 1 or something like that, put him in, have him stop the run. That's where I see Barrett Carter striving, potentially as an edge rusher, but really in that run game is where I think he will contribute the most. So I gave that pick a B. Don't hate the pick. Again, rooting for all of these guys, hoping they kind of hop off here in the end. Jalen Rivers out of Miami in Florida. Round 5, pick 153, grade B. Now this pick was more depth. Depth. The Bengals need depth. They didn't have it last year. Offensive tackle Orlando Brown Jr. went down, and then Amarius Mims broke his hand, and Cody Ford was kind of playing every position. He Cody Ford earned his paycheck last season. He earned his extension. Um, Rivers is an is a depth piece. He has a concerning history. He has a knee injury from 2021. He had other injuries in 2022 and 2024, and he's only got one season over 8 games played, which was 2023. He really is just like a big man. Like he's not super quick on his feet. He's not super athletic, but he's huge, and he's going to be hard to move. I don't think he's going to be a future starter on this line. I really expect Dylan Fairchild to win that role over Jalen Rivers or even Lucas Patrick. But um, Jalen Rivers is just a big body, and he can also play offensive guard or offensive tackle, which is good as well. Probably more at guard, but we'll see what kind of happens here. And as people get hurt, get banged up, things might change. So I think he's going to end up being a lot like Cody Ford, in just that he offers versatility on the line at those different positions. So thank you for that pick, Duke Tobin, because we need line depth. Finally, Tahj Brooks. And I was a big Cam Scattaboo fan. I really wanted him. He ended up going to the Giants. Well, now I'm a big Tahj Brooks fan because he is a Cincinnati Bengal taken in round 6 with the final pick. I'm going to give this an A minus because sometimes those late round 6, 7 picks, they're guys like you don't even care. Like you're like, this guy isn't going to make the team. I think this guy's going to make the team. I think this guy might make the 53-man roster, and he might be RB2. I'm very excited about this pick after watching him a little bit. Chase Brown is the explosive back. Like that, we all know that. That round 5 grab that they got 2 years ago, steal. Samaje Perine is coming back in as a pass protector, and Zach Moss is still kind of unknown. Khalil Herbert is no longer on the team after they traded for him at the trade deadline last season, and that's also why they don't have a 7th-round pick. The Bengals needed a bowling ball in the backfield. They needed that guy who you could just have him, give him the ball, and he's just going to run people over. And that's why I really wanted Cam Scattaboo. Tahj Brooks, I think, provides something similar. Now, he does have some wear on him. He had over 800 carries with 2 1,000-yard seasons at Texas Tech. So he's got some wear on his legs, but he's not going to be the primary guy. We all know Chase Brown is going to be the primary guy. We love Chase Brown. We like Chase Brown. We want Chase Brown to get the ball more. Tahj Brooks, though, again, that 3rd and 1 run the ball situation where you just need those hard yards, that's where Tahj Brooks is going to go in. He has the potential to be a late round steal. He runs hard. He throws off tacklers. His old running back coach at Texas Tech described him as a bowling ball with razor blades around him. What? Picture that. I don't even know what that looks like, but that's the description that he used. He could be a great red zone back. Put him in there. Put him on the line. Just up the middle, up the A gap. Take on those 300-pound defensive tackles. He's got this. I'm excited about this. If he ran more sure of himself and just, sees the gap and takes the gap, he would be phenomenal. He would probably have gone a lot earlier, but that's where he has struggled. The Bengals may be able to finally have a dual threat run game to add to their already impressive offense. And he offers a young replacement when Samaje Perine moves on. Samaje is older. Tahj Brooks is obviously younger. I believe he's he's only 22 years old. Had to Google that, fact check myself real quick. But yeah, Tahj Brooks, very young player, has a ton of potential. I really like this pick. So day 1, Bengals, wasn't super excited about it, but I think they kind of picked up steam there on days 2 and 3. This is just a classic Bengals draft, high potential, low production. But we'll see what happens. I really like those Demetrius Knight Jr. picks, the Tahj Brooks pick, and really I'm kind of growing on the Dylan Fairchild pick as well. So let me know what you think down below. Again, we're going to continue to try to push these out as fast as possible, but stuff happens. But until next time, Go do something nice for someone.